Okay, what I'm going to begin to do is to expose the true first power stations in the United States. They were completely disguised, and I'm going to be borrowing imagery, photographs taken from this book, Virginia Beach Jewel Resort of the Atlantic. So let's go to my first one. Okay, as you can see, the title of this is The Seaman's Salvation. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. English poet John Masefield. So let's take a look at the photograph. The old photograph of a life-saving station. Try to get it just right for you. Okay, I'm going to read the inscription below the photograph. The Sea Track Life-Saving Station at Virginia Beach derived its place name from sea attack, or the bombardment from the British warships suffered by that stretch of ocean front in the War of 1812. Now that should be a clue to you right there, in that the War of 1812 was a hoax, just like all the wars are hoaxes. And in particular, this war was a little bit extra important because the American people were starting to get very suspicious of this whole idea of breaking away from England. And there was quite a movement to then just want to start to see documents and proof and evidence. And what the controllers decided to do is just simply burn the White House down, burn everything down so there was no proof. All right, well, that's a sideline. The station was built in 1878 on land that is now at the corner of 24th Street and Atlantic Avenue. Now, 1878 is a pretty important date in that there have been a lot of experiments done with the atmosphere, and it being determined that one could harvest electricity from the atmosphere. So the question is, how do you harvest this electricity, and what do you do to make sure that no one knows the secret? Continuing on, the photograph taken by an unknown photographer shows how SeaTac, as it appeared in 1896. Now again, that's an important date too, because what is significant in the history and development of these power stations are two monumental structures. The first being what is called the Statue of Liberty, and that is dedicated in 1886. Now that was just simply an electrical harvesting device. It captured electricity from the atmosphere by the copper composition of the statue. Okay, now there are other features of the statue that warrant discussion, such as its mystical powers and its symbolism. However, for the sake of this video, let's just say it was an electrical harvesting device. The second structure was the Eiffel Tower, and that is 1887. Now notice that Gustav Eiffel, the author of, or the composer of, the architect of the Eiffel Tower, is the one who constructs the Statue of Liberty. And these dates that are important are 1886, Statue of Liberty, 1887, Eiffel Tower. So by 1886, they are well aware and ready to harvest electricity from the atmosphere. Back to the text below the picture. Notice the station's 6 surfmen and the keeper in charge of the surf boat to the right. These men, all residents of the area around SeaTac, manned the station from December the 1st to April 30th of the year. SeaTac was part of a life-saving District 6, an area spanning Cape Henry, Virginia, to Cape Fear, North Carolina. There were 5 life-saving stations along the Virginia Beach coastline, spaced exactly 6 miles apart. Notice how there's precision in what they are doing. Exactly 6 miles apart. Now there may be reasons for that in terms of the electrical field, and I confess I'm not an engineer and I don't understand everything completely. I'm just trying to bring things out into the open to shine the light of truth on the areas of darkness. Continuing with the text. Cape Henry, Dam Neck Mills, False Cape, Little Island, and SeaTac. These stations operated under the Department of Commerce, were the salvation of countless seamen in peril on the sea from 1874 to 1915, when the U.S. Coast Guard established and assumed their responsibilities. Notice how the life-saving stations come under the guidance of and the authority of, guess what? Department of Commerce. So I'm going to take more photographs and talk a little more with each photograph. But the basic question is this: can a bunch of men just along the coastline somehow, some way, magically save ships that are sinking off the coast with a couple of stupid rowboats? How the heck are they going to even know? Now, the wireless is not yet out and in usage. How the heck are they even going to know there's a ship in trouble? Your eyesight's only good for so far. And so these yo-yos are on the seashore, and there's boats nearby, and somehow they're just magically going to know there's a ship going down, and they very quickly get out there and somehow save lives. Now you stop and think about it. There's no modern equipment to aid them. And they're given credit for saving countless seamen in peril on the sea. And there might be a pun on that. Seamen. Might be a pun. Because remember, everything is under Nimrod and phallic symbols. And so these life-saving stations that were along the coasts had nothing to do with saving ships that were sinking, but they had everything to do with harvesting electricity from the atmosphere and thus becoming your first electrical power stations, completely invisible to the public, with the public having no knowledge of what really is going on and how electricity from the sky is free. But our enslavers figured out a way to charge us for what God has given to us free in the atmosphere, namely electricity. I'd like to thank you for watching this first in a series, and I'll be doing a little more and trying to uncover this whole thing for you. I got this revelation a while back, and I've been holding it in. I just didn't have the time to make the videos and so forth, but I wanted to share it with you, and I'm going to present more photographs and more evidence and bring you on board with this whole idea that these life-saving stations were really just an excuse for electrical power stations beginning to emerge in the United States. Thank you for watching.